Chapter 21, International Corporate Finance. Let's see what you will learn in this chapter, or at least the most important key topics. First, we will look at exchange rates. So what does it actually mean, an exchange rate for some country's currency? How are they quoted? There are actually two ways. And what do they really mean? Then we will look at actually two different types of exchange rates used in the real world, in the business world. The spot exchange rate and the forward exchange rate. And we will look at how they are different. Then we will look at purchasing power parity, interest rate parity, learn what those are and how they can be applied to calculate future expected exchange rates, let's say in 1 year, in 2 years, and so on. And then finally, we will link everything that we have learned from all those topics to finding the net present value for a project that takes place overseas. In other words, solving international capital budgeting problems. So a lot of companies these days have operations in more than one country. So not just, offices in the United States only, but offices in other countries in this world. These companies are called international corporations or multinational corporations or simply multinationals. And clearly, when you operate in more than one country, things get kind of complicated. Let's see what the problems may be. Let's say we have an American company and it would like to start some new project. So maybe just open another location, right? It could be as simple as that, in Europe. So the best approach to figure out the profitability of this new investment opportunity is to calculate the net present value, NPV, for it. So the NPV is always calculated the same way. It's equal to the investment in year 0 or a negative cash flow in year 0. And then we add discounted future cash flows. So cash flow in year 1 divided by 1 plus the required return or the discount rate. Then we add cash flow from the second year, discounted back by 2 years. So 1 plus the discount rate is squared, and so on. Okay, what are the problems when the NPV is for an overseas project? Well, first of all, the cash flows from this overseas project are no longer going to be in dollars. They will be in euros, right? If it's a project that would be taking place somewhere in Europe. How would we solve this problem? Well, we need to use the exchange rate to go back from the euro to the US dollar. Okay, problem number 2. Technically, the exchange rate is something that's not, like static. It doesn't remain unchanged over the years. It's something, think of like stock prices. It's also something that's changing all the time. So you cannot do like sort of one-fits-all approach. You cannot use, look up the exchange rate as of today between the euro and the dollar and apply it to convert your cash flows from year 0 of the project, year 1 in the future, year 2 in the future, and so on, back into dollars. It cannot be the same exchange rate, in other words. So the solution to that is we need to use the exchange rate that's correct for that year in the future. So we may need to use different exchange rates for cash flows in different years of our overseas project. And we're going to learn in this chapter how, the formulas that give us the best estimate for future exchange rates. And the third problem is, so not only do the cash flows from an overseas project present like an additional problem for the company, also the same, a similar additional problem may arise from the discount rate. Which discount rate is appropriate to use to find the NPV of this overseas project? Is it the return required for similar projects domestically or in Europe? The solution to this problem is we may need to somehow incorporate the information on both the European and the American required returns somehow in our net present value calculations. Okay, so our main goal is basically to figure out how those problems would be solved. So our main goal is to learn how to do international capital budgeting problems, like taking into account all those issues and knowing how to solve them. So we will be calculating international net present value for international projects. And for this, we will need to learn how to, read exchange rate. We need to learn how we figure out what makes exchange rates change, and be able to figure out future exchange rates over the years of our overseas project. And then we will also need to look at interest rates, which will be kind of part of the discount rate issue. So we will need to use the information on differences in interest rates in domestic and foreign countries.